Hello everyone, I'm Briffy1322, and now that the snow has finally gone from GT Online, I can finally get to testing this, and all the reports that people have been saying about it is true. So with the Casino Heist DLC, we got 3 vehicles where if you apply the maximum suspension upgrade, you induce camber on the wheels. That means the wheels will angle themselves out, as you're seeing on the screen. We've got the Asbo, the Retinue Mark II, and the Rebler GTS that this happens for. There may be some other cars still to come where this happens, but this isn't something that's new either. We had this with the Nebula Turbo in the Casino DLC earlier this year, but the Nebula Turbo was much worse of a driving experience and much slower by inducing that camber. That isn't the same with these vehicles. These vehicles are all slightly quicker, in some cases significantly quicker, with the maximum suspension and with the crazy camber on the wheels. So these are the comparisons. You're going to see them for each of the cars, with the Asbo first of all, the Retinue Mark II, which is probably the biggest difference, and then the Rebler GTS, which is the smallest difference. You're going to see the comparisons between, on the right hand side is my original testing lap, and on the left hand side is the new laps that I've done with maximum suspension and the maximum camber. So the reason that these cars are quicker, and top speed is completely unaffected by this, by the way. I retested top speed as well, and it makes no difference in that respect, because the reason that they're quicker is it just makes the cars much easier to handle, which is kind of counterintuitive, especially when we had the Nebula Turbo, which I went back and tested that as well with maximum camber. That's still the same. It is terrible when you have, the camber on the wheels and the maximum suspension, but these 3 vehicles are different in that respect. So it basically just gives you more confidence in the corners with the cars, and especially with something like the Asbo, it's a little bit weird with its handling characteristics when you've got stock suspension or any of the higher suspensions. Obviously the lower suspension that you have, the better in these vehicles, so the maximum camber that you can get. With suspension in general for most vehicles in the game, it's not going to make any difference to your performance. It's more of a sort of handling quirk for, if you're already hitting sort of world record levels of lap time, suspension might be able to make a little bit of a handling difference, but for most people, it's not a performance improvement. But for these 3 cars, it definitely is. The biggest difference in terms of lap time is with the Retinue Mark II, as we're seeing here. That's a full 1.3 seconds quicker. And you're probably seeing just in the corners, if you're comparing how they are, when you've got that camber, when you've got that maximum suspension, the cornering becomes just so much. You're able to get around the corners just so much with so much more confidence, and therefore so much quicker as well. So straight line speed, top speed, that's all the same, but you can just corner so much better. And this actually puts the Retinue, instead of being in 9th place for the Sports Classics class as it was, it's actually in 6th place. So that's a pretty decent improvement. The Asbo goes up 1 position, I believe, and the Rebler GTS stays in the same position but just improves its lap. So yeah, that's just something that I wanted to cover because a few people had mentioned about it. And yeah, it is true that having the maximum suspension on these 3 Casino Heist DLC vehicles is the way to go. It's the quickest way to use these vehicles. Now, if there's any new vehicles to come from the Casino Heist DLC that have camber when you put the maximum suspension on, to be fair, some of these vehicles have camber even on the lower suspensions as well, but the maximum suspension is the most important. And like I said, for other cars it doesn't make a difference, but for these cars it certainly does. If there's any new cars to come, I'll obviously test them in both cases, because it could go one way and be like the Nebula Turbo, where it's going to be slower to have the maximum suspension, or it's going to be quicker to have the maximum suspension like these cars. So it could go both ways. It's a little bit weird that this is now a thing, but as always when it comes to the testing, I'll be making sure that I get the testing done to get these cars in their quickest forms. Just like adding a spoiler will make a car a couple of seconds a lap quicker, with these cars you got to put maximum suspension on if you want them to go as quick as they possibly can. So just for these 3 cars though, remember, suspension doesn't really make a difference in most other cases. So that's pretty much it for this one. Just wanted to update everybody and let you guys know that this is actually a thing, and give you updated lap times for these 3 cars. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.